Why don't we get started? Because I could see folks joining in the participant room. We are thrilled to have all of you joining us, and welcome to our webinar hosted by Branchfood and the Greater Zurich Area today, titled Sustainably Nourishing Tomorrow, a Collaborative Approach for Global Impact. So welcome all. My name is Lauren Abda. I'm the founder of Branchfood. We are a launchpad for food innovation and one of the largest communities of food leaders in the world today. At Branchfood, we work to connect all corners of the food industry by way of three essential pillars of our work. First are programs that raise awareness about food and innovation and how companies are adapting to consumer and environmental change. Second is through our consulting practice for leading industry businesses that seek to achieve scalable growth, are looking for new revenue streams, and seek to de-risk innovation, which we have a lot of experience working on with some of our clients. In our work, we've had great success involving a robust community of over 19,000 individuals worldwide, and a team of industry experts to see things others really don't, and which is why, for us, we believe the food industry now more than ever needs to leverage sort of the individuals that are working at the frontiers of food. And so we're thrilled to be supporting our clients in that way. And then lastly, we invest in food businesses through Branch Venture Group, which is our angel investment network dedicated to funding early stage food business inclusive of consumer brands, food technology, and agriculture technology related companies. To date, we've worked with over 900 businesses, big and small, invested over $4 million in 18 early stage food related startups, and hosted, hard to believe, over 230 events. And so we're honored today to be continuing this work and appreciate the opportunity to share more about it with you and in collaboration with our stellar group of panelists. And you can learn more about our work at Branchfood at branchfood.com and branchventuregroup.com, or of course, reach out to me, Lauren, at branchfood.com. So I'm also thrilled to provide introductory remarks on behalf of our fantastic partners, Lucas Sieber, who is the Executive Director of North America for the Greater Zurich Area, and his Associate Director, Milo Baker, who we've been working very closely with to ensure a very valuable panel discussion with representatives from their community, as well as ours for you all today. The Greater Zurich Area is the official investment promotion agency of the 9 Swiss states or cantons and 2 cities that make up the economic region of Zurich, Switzerland. The organization guides interested companies through the ecosystem of the Greater Zurich Area by connecting them with relevant companies, universities, and research institutes, also incubators, platforms, associations, service providers, and authorities. So all of the different entities within the region you can access through work with the Greater Zurich Area, and all of their services are free of charge. In 2024, the Greater Zurich Area was identified by the Financial Times as a leading business location in Europe for companies that want to expand internationally. As a global innovation hub, Greater Zurich shines in the categories of economic potential, business friendliness, and human capital and lifestyle. If you'd like to learn more about doing business in the Greater Zurich Area, please reach out to our partners, Lucas and Milo, who are available through LinkedIn. I'm also happy to facilitate an introduction to them. They've been so wonderful to work with on this webinar, and I can only imagine their hospitable capabilities around helping you navigate the Greater Zurich Area for your business expansion or development. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome our moderator for today's discussion, Annette Herz, who is a longtime collaborator of Branchfood and a strategic advisor with our firm, helping really to support many of our clients through the dedicated work that we do in consulting. Annette is also a partner at Compass Marketing, a growth innovation agency for ambitious brands seeking actionable opportunities for lasting growth. Compass Marketing focuses on the health and wellness sector, working across interconnected consumer categories from digital health to functional foods for both US and European businesses. She has also lived and worked in Europe, developing and launching brands for Procter & Gamble. She is fluent in German and English with a particular weakness for Swiss chocolate, which is actually an attribute she and I share. So welcome, Annette, and over to you to take it from here.
That sounds good, Lauren. And thank you again to Branchfood as well as GZA for making the next 90 minutes possible. It is an honor to be able to host this panel. One, because it is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart. More and more of our clients are asking also about the latest and greatest in terms of food innovation, specifically when it comes to sustainability. So having the opportunity to be able to speak to some of the movers and shakers, both on a manufacturing side as well as then on the consumer side, is really an honor. And I'm excited to be able to roll up our sleeves in the next 90 minutes so you too can meet these leaders and get to know their companies, their organizations, and also be able to ask questions. So with that, I'd like to get a couple of housekeeping things just put to the side. So yes, this webinar is going to be recorded, and the folks at Branchfood will be making that available at the end of the session. Secondly, also, we encourage you to ask questions, but just to be courteous to our panelists, if you wouldn't mind putting those questions in the chat. And specifically, if you have a question for somebody specific on the panel, if you could put their name in that as well, so that in the last 5 to 10 minutes that we might have at the end of the 90 minutes, we'll make sure to get back to some of those questions, and the Branchfood folks will be tallying all those questions for you. So with that, I'd like to first maybe start out by talking to some of the folks that make sustainable packaging and the opportunity for us to get our food in a sustainable way possible. So we'll be speaking to two of the manufacturers of some of that equipment. And then we'll be transitioning at about the 20-minute mark or so to some of the brands on more the consumer side that have come out and made sustainability a pillar of their launch. So with that having been said, I'd like to introduce you all to Stefan Schüle, who is the product director at Syntegon, and Gavin Steiner, who is the CTO at SIG. And since many of you may not know what both of these organizations are, I wanted them to have the opportunity to introduce themselves and talk a little bit about Syntegon, as well as SIG, so that you can get an idea of what they have to offer. Maybe we start with you, Stefan.
Thank you. Hello, everyone from Switzerland. Syntegon is a worldwide leading supplier of process and packaging technology for the food and the pharma industry. With nearly 6,000 employees in 30 locations worldwide, we provide everything from individual standalone machines, complete packaging systems, from process to transport packaging. Our portfolio for the food industry includes 4 business units. I'll start with the vertical, not with the chocolate one. I started with the vertical, our vertical business, which includes process technology to produce gummy bears, and also to produce the vertical packaging, so to wrap those gummy bears into a primary wrapping. So that's all for flowing goods like nuts. I have a sample as well with me. Nuts, flowers, but also vegetables are packed in this type of pack style. Secondly, and that's the business unit I'm working for, I'm the responsible product manager globally for horizontal packaging. And now we come to the chocolate. So everything from a small Kit Kat to a large tray overwrapped, difficult to see, huh? Where's the backlight? Yeah, today typically wrapped, let's say US example, a health bar from Kind, you might know them, a customer of ours. Typically today wrapped in plastic, and we will come to that later in the use cases. Then we also do secondary and tertiary packaging. That's typically in a carton box, so multiple of the vertical bags or horizontal bags packed in a multi-pack, how you buy it at the retailer, and then the tertiary packaging, which is the transport packaging going on a pallet or in a case. The fourth business unit is cup and bottle filling for liquid food, such as yogurt in a cup, semi-aseptic and aseptic. And worldwide, we have 64,000 installed machines. So that talks about the long history. Sustainability is a key topic for Syntegon, not just in terms of product offerings, but also as a company. So we have launched last year our first sustainability report for the fiscal year 2022. We do a lot of consulting services where we support our customers on the journey to use more sustainable packaging material. Consulting in more material properties, solutions, but also testing machinability of certain materials in our various labs across the globe. And then we also do LCA consulting for our machines to support our customers to do their sustainability reports.
Great.
That's in a nutshell the company.
Thank you, Stefan. Okay, so why don't we give Gavin a chance also to introduce SIG, and then we'll hop right into it.
Great. Thanks, Annette. And thanks, Stefan, for your intro. So SIG, maybe also in a summary format quickly, we are, the head office is based in Neuhausen in Switzerland. That's where I am today, situated. We have a team of people around the globe in all markets, all countries. There are about 9,000 employees strong. We are a system supplier in terms of both the machine and the pack, and that is a combined event. So you might ask, so what is SIG? For some of you on the call, I'll try and see if my camera works. It's the beverage carton industry. And here are some examples. Let me get them there. These are beverage cartons that you come into contact with on a daily basis, I'm sure, in terms of your breakfast, your lunches, and your dinners. So that's one of the significant parts of our business, which is in the aseptic world of filling. And that is a product category that we're going to touch on in a bit more detail going forward. Then we also have newly acquired businesses that have joined the SIG fold, and this is in the spouted pouch business. Okay, the pouches that you might recognize, as well as the ones which I think many people have come into the puree businesses to seeing the spouted pouch in that. And we also have the bag-in-box business in SIG. Bag-in-box is okay, try and keep my face in the picture. It's basically a soft pouch within a box, and that dispensing products from cold brew to wines, and we are in the liquid business. The key portfolio that we serve around the world is from chilled dairy throughout all the food categories, in the spouted pouches, the beverage cartons, and the bag-in-boxes. Okay, so that's in a nutshell. You got maybe a sense of the materials that you touch every day, but it's also the machine park that makes those materials and also that fills them at our customers. So we're a B2B business, and we supply the system to a customer. So I think that's in a nutshell. And my role as the CTO, so Chief Technology Officer, I'm responsible for all the research and development. So this call is extremely appropriate because we go into some of the passions that we have on sustainability, which is a key focus for us as a group. And we have been pioneering and leading many of the innovations with a group that is distributed across the world. We have scientists in the US, in China, in Germany, and the R&D ecosystem is a network group that's looking both at machine and material. So we're really lucky we have the opportunity to work in both. Our sustainability metrics that we have now incorporated in the financial report that actually only came out last week. You will see an integral link between our sustainability reporting and our financial numbers that is worth a read, and we can share the links with you later. So that's, I hope Annette is a quick overview and that people are able to follow what SIG is about.
Great, thank you, Gavin. Since this is all focused on food and sustainability, I'm curious, since both of you are from companies with a global footprint, are you seeing clients come to you where priority number one is sustainability? What are the questions that they are asking of you, or the challenges that they're putting forth to you when it comes to packaging? And asking you if you can, and how you are uniquely positioned to be able to help them out. And maybe I start with Gavin first on this one.
Sure. And many of the customers are facing challenges across the globe on packaging materials and what is the real true end of life. What happens at home once you dispose of your packaging? And some people don't realize the complexity involved in protecting products and making sure that they are sustainable through the value chain, through transport, through delivery, through consumption, and that protection is extremely important. So I can give you some of the complexity behind packaging material that no one gets. You think it's what you put your food in at the end of the production line, and then you believe that it just works, but the science in it is amazing. So our customers are very much on a journey of discovery, because a lot of the science, let's go back 5-6 years ago, was not at the forefront. And we've seen an exponential growth in knowledge, because it is a topic of public concern or personal concern. And the relevance for all of us is we touch it every day, it. Yeah. So to convince you that it's important is not a problem. To convince public what to do and to keep it credible is an extremely complex journey, because everyone thought 5 years ago that there'll be this one solution that is applicable for everyone. And there were comments like, well, we can paperize the world. Okay. When you get into the science behind that throwaway comment, you start realizing that there are multiple solutions and they are credible for different reasons. But at the end of the day, my principle is, if there was a perfect waste management system and nothing ended up in the environment, packaging would not be deemed as an enemy. It would be a solution that is ensuring food waste reduction, because it protects food, it stops waste. If we didn't have packaging and everything was fresh, your shelf life is given in 2 to 3 weeks, whereas we're talking about products are protected. So this solution mindset of our customers, they are on a journey as we are on a journey. And how we differentiate and what we bring as SIG is we have been pioneering, actually back since 2010 was the first time we brought out a beverage carton without aluminium. Okay, that is a great CO2 footprint improvement. If you take out the coating inside of aluminium, you have a 23 to 28% improvement in your footprint of CO2. Okay, and that we did back in 2010. And I can give you some other examples how we've evolved that and what our strategy is going forward. That for our customer is an amazing opportunity for them to support the journey of making things simpler and easier to recycle, and in so doing, unlocking some of the consumer behaviors that exist today. We don't need to create new behaviors, because you can just think, if you need to do something new and different, it's more complicated than to do what you do today in a more sustainable way. So that's maybe a bit enough from my side. I'll let Stefan have an add to it too.
Great, thank you. And Stefan,
well done, Gavin.
Stefan, could you also add, I'm curious, since both of you are from global companies, how do you balance as well the sustainability requirements in many different countries, and the interpretation also what's sustainable? I'll leave that question to you, Stefan, as you talk about Syntegon.
Yeah, first of all, I would like to support everything Gavin said. Yeah, it's a journey, and it's very vital that we don't lose the focus of the most important function of the packaging, and that's protecting the product. And we have started 5 years ago, with ideas to replace plastic. This KitKat bar is wrapped with paper. And at the beginning, our customer, and we worked with multiple customers, another one is that one you might recognize. It's not easy. We all thought, yeah, let's just take a little bit care on how we handle the paper, because paper is stiffer. Plastic, you can it's flexible. You know, you can bend it across a sheet metal plate, and then it's fine. Yeah, if you do that with paper, without the flexibility and with the stiffer material, you damage the barrier, you create wrinkles, and at the end you have from the outside looking a more sustainable package. But if it's not sealed perfectly, if the barrier doesn't work because there is fat in the product interfering with the material, then nothing is really solved. We created new problems. 5 years ago, we were mainly approached to answer your question, by global customers who were the first ones, as far as I see that, really digging into this topic, because they already had at that time sustainability goals. And it was kind of an exploring phase. What is possible? First of all, what we experienced is that a lot of those customers tried a lot themselves and they failed because of the challenges we just discussed. And then they finally approached us. And along this journey, for example, to create the paper packaging for products like this, it took us many revisions of the folding box in order to create the tube. A horizontal flow wrap first creates a tube of the material, difficult to see here, and then pushes the product inside and does then the end seal. Yeah. And it's not just about handling the product out of the film, it's also about the sealing technology. We have here in this type of package 2 layers, 4 layers, and then 2 layers again. With plastic, that's easy because plastic has a defined melting point. You can squeeze the melted plastic in wherever direction, and then you have a closed package. Paper is stiff. Yeah, and we needed to learn that we also need to adjust the sealing bars, and we needed to make sure that the film runs very constant in order to get out these optimizations so that we can protect the product with a sealed package with paper as well. And I think nowadays, so that was the beginning. The globals were looking for solutions. We started to develop those, and then maybe about 2 years ago, mid-sized companies were also investigating about possible solutions. And I think currently it's clear sustainability will stay. Everyone has, from looking at it as a hype, is now more institutionalized topic with responsible persons, with programs. But what we still see is that still a lot of, because regulations are in a flow, technology is in a flow, a lot of our customers are still waiting to make the final call and the decisions to move into this or that direction, because as Gavin mentioned, there are multiple solutions possible in order not to risk a wrong investment on packaging, because you all know your food producers, if you do something wrong with your product and you have to do a recall, the image loss is huge.
So it's the constant balance of making sure you maintain the integrity of the product while still trying to achieve potentially some of these sustainability goals that some of your clients may be coming to you with. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
When you're speaking
Yes.
to some of these different clients who are coming to you, what are some of the trends, some of the harder also requests that you are getting from them when it comes to food sustainability specifically, and putting together packaging around that? I'll leave it to either one of you to speak first on that.
Yeah, Annette, maybe I can jump in, but I'm not so sure it's about food sustainability. It's about environmental sustainability.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's more precise where we are. The the big customers and the small customers, like Stefan is saying, they all have an objective to improve something for the environment. And maybe a fun fact is, if I show you this, this is a beverage carton, and many of you would probably recognize it in a different form. Just to help the audience understand sort of a science challenge. So you all have aluminium foil at home. Okay, you've probably seen it, you've touched it, you've used it. Inside a beverage carton, we would have that aluminium foil that you have at home is super thick. Our aluminium foil that we put in a beverage carton is 7 times thinner than a piece of hair. So you take a strand of hair, it's 7 times thinner. Okay, and that is the lining that you have in the carton. If you hold up your aluminium foil, what is the biggest benefit that it gives to you in your cooking world is the same as it gives in packaging. It has a light barrier, light doesn't go through. It has an oxygen barrier, and it has a moisture barrier, and it is superb. Okay, so now I told you in 2010, we managed to take that out of the carton. So we have to find science to replace something amazing called aluminium with different materials that are giving the same protection to the product and making it 28% less CO2 impact. That little thin piece of aluminium, you take it out, you get a 23% improvement in the CO2. And this is about an environmental improvement. And I think for the people on the call, maybe it's helpful to understand that that is where we talk about packaging science, to bring something that is moving in the right direction. It's not perfect. It's not perfect. And we have a very clear strategy of where we go in the next step. But one of the principles I keep professing to everyone is extremely important. If it is better for the environment after you have optimized or changed something, you should move in that direction, because the silver bullet doesn't exist yet. And every incremental step that we're making is so important. It's something that you can share at the dinner table with your family and be proud of, because you are moving this whole ecosystem in the right direction. And then when I talk about pouches like these ones, people say, but it's plastic. Plastic is not the enemy. Yeah, this is a phenomenal container, and it is, in the past, it is multiple layers of different materials. So what we all have agreed is we'll make it in a monomaterial, which means a single type of plastic. And what does that do? That enhances its value to the recyclers. So our customers are asking for things that are moving in the right direction. I think everyone has understood that you will not be able to have an apple peel that protects product that you can litter and it disappears. Everyone has to understand that this is a joint effort in the development, but we have a responsibility in material design and material development to unlock some things that people cannot do. If you keep it complicated, keep it complex, it goes into a problem. You make it simple, and you can then allow people to behave. As I said, you support behaviors that they have today, and therefore these things can be recycled. And they will be recycled if we make them out of monomaterials. If we take the aluminium out of this, we have a sustainability impact, which is significant, but it also brings more value to the recycler. They have less steps to do. But the principle, which is so important, everyone has to understand, is you always need to manage your waste. And that is an ecosystem discussion. That is where our customers are understanding, as much as us, how do we support the full value chain to make these things where we say they are recyclable, credible, because they are genuinely recycled. And that journey is where everyone is involved. And our customers understand it more and more now than they did in the past. The past, they thought everything would be litter-proof or environmentally compatible. You could throw it in the ocean, it would disappear. Sorry to say, guys, that is not possible. It's not feasible. So we have to own our jobs in this ecosystem to bring to life great breakthroughs. Like this is now alu-free, and it's going, I'll give you the topic, as I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about our vision and our strategy, which is super I'm super proud of what the teams are doing. And it's this incremental step that you can talk about at the dinner table with your family. If that is your proof point, and for me, if anyone can do that, then you're moving this really in a society direction that is credible. Anyway, I keep quiet now, Annette, sorry.
I love the topic that you brought up of, since you're often at the very beginning of a product, not forgetting to also think about the end of the product and incorporating that as you are creating the beginning of the product, i.e. the packaging around that product. I think that's a wonderful kind of synopsis of how you have to think about the entire journey of the packaging. And Stefan, I'm sure you have a lot to add on that side as well. I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Gavin, for all the nice examples explaining the story. What we often, our customers have the same goals. They want to reduce their impact on the environment, and they come up with ideas to us. Can we use this material? Can we use this material? This is one of our principles that we always try to develop solutions which are supplier independent. Yeah, because all of our customers, they have different suppliers for their material. So what we do is we do support them in looking at the structure of the material. Can we use it on our equipment? And often a question, so is it machinable? And a question which often comes up is can we do it at the same speed? Yeah, because we have machines which run, for example, I bring up again this small KitKat bar. They run up to 1,500 products per minute. And imagine if you use a material which slows your process down by 30 or by 50%, which is easily possible. Yeah, especially if it's hot sealing, then it's also not sustainable because the case doesn't work for our customer anymore. So
can we maybe speak a little bit about how you're balancing also your own company's sustainability goals with then working also with your clients? How do you do that as well to make sure that you're always pushing the frontier a little bit further?
I jump in quickly. The sustainability goals are not in contradiction with the customer's requirements, and I think this is the journey. Everyone is under the same pressure to come up with something which is, let's say, better for the environment. And there's regulation. Your question earlier about how do we deal with the different requirements around the world, because they are different. Infrastructure in a emerging country X is different to a emerged country Y, and you have to actually field solutions that are credible for those different locations, or invest in the collection process if it doesn't exist, as an example. So every single market, that's with our broad global situation or spread, we are able to access knowledge of what's happening in country X or Y, and we design for those locations solutions that are credible. Sometimes we don't have something which is better, and this is where the science comes on stream to unlock it. But I think that is an important part of this, is that we really have to engage the full value chain, and every pack or product we touch, as Stefan was saying, it has a life cycle assessment done. And it's not that the customer wants something else. The customer wants a usability, a friendliness that consumers love. And they love their pack and they don't want to change. And if you can then find a way to design your sustainability into that, it's a win-win. The customers, if you come and tell them their machines run 50% slower, forget it. It's not going to happen. We need to come up with creative solutions which actually run on these machines and are retrofitted. And that's where our alu-free story, or back to the beverage carton, our materials have been designed to fit all customer machines that we have out in the market today. We don't need to modify them for running alu-free materials, which is unique. Not everyone can do that. So we actually have a solution that is easy to retrofit. And that's then our customers say, okay, that's a winning solution. So I don't see any problem with them asking for things that are not sustainability based.
Stefan, would you agree on that side? Do you think your clients are pushing you forward, or you're pushing your clients forward when it comes to sustainability, or is it a hand-in-hand process?
It's a little bit of both. I don't know, my video doesn't work anymore properly, I think.
No, it is. You're back on.
Okay.
And we can hear you. That's most important.
That's good. I mean, this example I showed you before with the paper flow wrap, that was our initiative, and it matched with a request from our global customers. So they were asking us, we had ideas, and together with this 3-year journey until we finally were able to implement a new foaming shoulder and new cross seal stations on existing machines in their operations in various countries around the world. So it's a combined journey.
Okay. Since I know that my time with you is coming to a close, I want to make sure that we have enough time as well to speak with both Pascal and Tobias. I wanted to introduce just one last question as an easy transition to that section. And that's, as you've been speaking to folks or people have been coming to you for kind of that next challenge, what are some of the trends that you're seeing when it comes to sustainability, and how have you been addressing them?
Okay, so I would tie 3 quick points together. So the trends that are out there, you can slice them in different reports as you see, but healthy nutrition is a very significant request from many consumers. More than 70% of consumers are looking for a healthier lifestyle. Okay, sustainability, 84% of those interviewed consumers, 84% have sustainability on their mind. Now, that doesn't mean that they are ready to pay for it. 84% say that they believe that sustainability is essential, and therefore it becomes a foundation to do business. It's not a value add that you can charge for. That is a challenge because sustainability does have a cost. Yeah, today with science, and that will evolve in its way going forward. But then, Annette, just to finish, so that the third point is, so our vision and our drive, you've understood now about the beverage cartons. We have committed by 2025 as a team and as a group that we would take the paper content in a beverage carton from the current is about 72% up to 85%. And that unlocks the opportunity. I see there's a question in the panel there, an opportunity for this to enter into other standard recycling streams. Not everywhere, but in some countries it goes into the paper stream at 85%. Not everywhere. Some people want it higher. So that's 2025. And then by 2030, we have publicly said that we would take this to 90% paper content, which is extreme. Yeah, and the science, honestly, the science is still in development. That's by 2030. This then allows this pack from a consumer point of view to go into the paper recycling. And we can debate about food contamination and all the other things. But as I said, each step is the right direction. And that is our mission and our commitment. So 85 by 2025 and 90% by 2030.
Great. Thank you, Gavin, for that encapsulation. Stefan, would you like to add in the last few minutes?
Yeah, the business model for us is slightly different, as SIG provides the machine and the material both to their customers. We only supply the machine, so our strategy is to be, as I mentioned before, material independent. We see a trend for paper for dry products like chocolate enrobed products. But we also see a trend, and Gavin, you have mentioned that as well, for monomaterials, to use simpler structures with maybe 2 different polypropylene structures, one which is sealable, the other one which is printable, because that's also an important function of the packaging, to inform the customer and to do the marketing for the product. And for this, we are currently working on solutions, because those new structures, those monomaterial structures, they're much more difficult to seal, to make a closed package. They have a much smaller sealing window, and if the speed changes, you end up either in burning the material or it's not sealed. And we look there for innovative technologies like ultrasonic technologies and others, where we plan to come up with some solutions this year.
Okay, great. And thank you both for that very fast, deep dive into everything that, you know, we needed to know in regards to hopefully sustainability and packaging, but I'm sure people have lots of questions for you afterwards. So if you wouldn't mind just staying on, and we'll get to those questions afterwards. We're going to transition at this point just to make sure that we have enough time to Pascal Bieri from Planted and Tobias Gunzenhauser from Yamo. If we could bring their visuals up, that is great. Hi, Pascal. And hopefully Tobias is there as well. Great. Hi, Tobias. How are you both?
Hi there.
Hi. Thank you so much for joining us. And you've heard now from the packaging side. We want to delve a little bit more deeply now to the consumer side when it comes to specifically when it comes to sustainability. Since not everybody also on this call, we have people representing 14 different countries on this call, may know about your products. Would you take a minute just to introduce yourselves as well as your brands and your products? Pascal, why don't you start?
Sure. A pleasure to be on. Thanks, Annette. I'm Pascal Bieri, one of the founders of Planted. What we do at Planted, as an ETH Zurich spinoff, we create meat but made from plants. Ever since 5-6 years ago, when we wrote a 2-pager that led to today, us being active in 7 markets with a bit over 240 people. Ever since then, we decided to do to structure basically meat in a natural way, using natural ingredients and natural processes. I don't believe that the future of protein is a chemistry set and some artificial flavors that then should mimic meat. I think, yeah, nature gives us better raw ingredients and better processes to actually make an ancient technology animal meat not necessary anymore, and we can create better products. Have started out with a product called Planted Chicken, have moved over to pulled pork, kebab. We have scaled into more whole cut versions, including a steak that will hit the market, fully fermented muscle that will hit the market next week. So yeah, pleasure to be on, wherever you're from or watching us.
Great, thank you, Pascal. Tobias, why don't you give us a quick intro to Yamo?
Yeah, lovely to do so. So many people would ask me, what is Yamo? Yamo stands for yum yum and amo, the Italian word for I love, because in the end, love goes through your stomach. And we are the first producer of fresh baby food in all of Europe. So traditionally, baby food is a category that is relatively uninnovative. You find products that are all shelf stable for many, many years. And we were then the first to change that in terms of technology. We adapted a technology called high pressure pasteurization instead of heat sterilization that we use to make our product shelf stable. And with that, we created a product that is as fresh as homemade, basically, but still shelf stable for several weeks. We now have a range of products for babies from age of 5-6 months up to 3 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. Kindergarten, school kids, always organic, always natural, always fresh, and what is most important, very, very tasty.
Great. Whenever I speak to folks who are starting companies in a very new and different way, there's usually some kind of an inspirational aha moment that many of you have had. And I did a little bit of digging, Pascal. I think you had gotten your idea originally from being in the United States. I'm curious what prompted you then from your experience there to start Planted.
Hey, funny. I think you could even call them our competitor now. I think everybody who makes plant-based meat is like a fighter for a just cause and with us on that journey. But yes, it's true. I was working in the US in the beautiful city of Buffalo for 3 years for a Swiss chocolate company, and turned part-time vegan for the planet. Obviously, as a lot of Americans ate a lot of that bun and animal meat in between. And I totally saw the solution for that being, you know, hey, yeah, you can basically do almost the same thing coming from plants directly. And what somewhat didn't satisfy me as a consumer, I wasn't sure if I was just being too European about it, was the long ingredient list that, you know, our friends and Beyond and Impossible have certainly had, and I think still have on the menu. I don't think that can be the future of protein. I think it might be a step in between, but it might be a great solution for certain consumers who are, you know, starting the journey and are willing, you know, early adopters when it comes to technology. I do, however, believe that we must be at a stage where we have better ways of creating structures of protein. So yeah, I think it was that one chef who came up to me in a restaurant when I ordered it and said if I'm sure what I'm eating here, and too long of an ingredient list in his mind. I didn't argue with him that, you know, a typical beef burger ingredient list is pretty long too and not as healthy, but it goes to show that a lot of people, you know, are looking for an easiest way out, not to join a good movement. And yeah, it triggered me to text my cousin Lucas, who is now my co-founder, and back then he finished up his PhD in food processing at ETH. I just asked him, like, is there not better ways to structure protein instead of, you know, using that shortcut through the chemistry set? And yeah, it triggered him. Luckily, ended up us writing a 2-page business idea, and then working on the business plan, creating the company, starting producing, building the factory, building more factories, and reaching people. But yeah, I think that trigger moment, every entrepreneur has it, right? Tobias, was it how was it for you? Because now, as a dad, Tobias, I can see the needs, and I'm a good consumer of your products.
That's very good to hear. Actually, it was relatively similar because I worked with one of my 2 co-founders back before we founded Yamo. We worked together already for 3 years, and we both ate vegan for a month as some sort of a challenge because we wanted to see how it is, because everybody was talking about it in 2015. And then where we had our old office there was just a gas station, so where we could get lunch. And gas station lunch is either spaghetti bolognese for the microwave or spaghetti carbonara for the microwave, so not that much vegan options. And then we read a newspaper article that apparently models that they eat baby food, you know, those glass jars, when they get ready for like a show, like Milan or London or Paris. And we said, okay, what's great for models, we also will do that. So because it's fast, it's convenient, and it's certainly very healthy. And then we went to the shop, and for the first time in my life, I looked at these products. And I was like, why are they all look the same? Why are they shelf stable for so many years? And then I rang up a very old friend of mine who is a food scientist, and they said, Jose, you got to help me here. What's up with these products? Why are they like they are? And he said, you know what, this industry has not changed in the last 50 years, and they probably will never do. And he specialized on this technology called high pressure pasteurization, which is a cold pressure technology. And he said, look, there is a technology, you could actually use that to make the products very different and better. And then, yeah, we talked about this idea with all of our friends and family, and everybody said it's a stupid idea. And then we said, okay, let's quit our jobs and start working on it.
Well, thank you for those initial inspirations. I think that gives us a little bit more grounding. I'd be curious also, since you both have been already out there for several years, how have you seen consumers' behavior change since you first launched, and how have you adapted your brands when it comes to food sustainability and sustainability in general?
You want to go,
I
Tobias?
mean, yeah, I mean, what we saw was we've always thought convenience is important, but it is more important. And that is something that we really learned how important convenience is, which is one thing is distribution, for example. I think particularly parents, they expect some sort of a ubiquity of your product offering, which means I can order it from Sunday from my couch online, or I can also go to the shop on Tuesday afternoon and buy it there. So distribution is very, very important. At first, we were just direct to consumer. We were just selling online. We have not considered retail because we actually even thought, yeah, retail maybe is not where parents anywhere want to shop anymore. And, you know, things are changing, but it's not. And so convenience in terms of distribution, super, super important still. And then another topic I think that has changed, I would say dramatically, is sugar. So we all know that refined sugar is really not great and we should try to minimize it. But when we started in 2018, yes, sugar was some sort of a topic. But now when we talk to parents and we have like a family pool of 150 families that we work together with for product development, and then we have many 10,000 customers that have ordered so far online with us, so we frequently ask them, we see that sugar is number one topic for families, right, at least right now. And this has gone from number 3 to 5 years ago to now number 1.
Pascal?
The topic of sustainability is everywhere at Planted, and I think when you start a company with from zero, right, you basically have no baggage with you, like in terms of every decision you make, whether it's T&D policy, whether it's how you pack your products, is very conscious. And we're a company that has sustainability at its very core. Yet we do know it's not enough just to say, oh, we do plant-based. We can don't care about the rest of the impact of packaging, the impact of travel that we as a company have, the impact of food that our employees and team members have, well, not privately, but you know, when on company time. And so all these decisions are very, very conscious, yet you have to move at a certain speed. For example, the topic of packaging, and I think Stephan or Gavin mentioned it earlier, right? Like we could pack everything in a locally grown banana leaf or something compostable, but then we have a shelf life of a few days, and that's not sustainable either if our retailers then complain about, you know, goods that probably aren't sold within 2 days. So we went for a thin recyclable or even a recycled plastic solution. But yes, it's plastic, it's not fantastic, and you go for thinner and thinner, yet a lot of people who are looking at us startups, right, expecting us to do everything perfect. We can. Certain realities are there as well, and so we want to be as transparent as possible. We have a sustainability report that's coming out for a third time in every year. We have one for a third time already, and I think we're being pretty critical in ourselves also in that sustainability report to talk about what we have to do better, what we can do better, more local sourcing. Like we're sourcing out of Europe already, but it's always possible to do that more locally, less processed. And yeah, be conscious about all these decisions that we make, and I think pretty open, because only that tells the whole story. I think that's an important one. Being authentic about it.
I want to jump a little bit on a point that actually Tobias had just made when he was talking about sugar and kind of the vilifying of sugar. And that's something that we've seen also, obviously, in the United States as a trend. But I want to maybe go also to, you know, both of you are European brands that covers a lot of taste profiles, a lot of different countries. Have you found it necessary to adapt also your products to different tastes? We always hear stories here in the United States about different products being adapted in the United States, but I'm sure you have to do it many times over potentially, I don't know, as you're marketing across Europe.
For us, luckily, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, it's just quickly, because the food is super local, especially in Europe. Like, Americans wouldn't believe this sometimes, right? Like, Europe is the same size of the US, and yet I think culturally so very different. And sometimes we have to be like, tell that we're also super proud of that culture, right? A Portuguese is super proud of the Portuguese culture, whereas Swedish people are still from Europe, yet eat very differently. And how we do that are most of our products that we're selling are unmarinated, unflavored. Like, we only use natural processes. So we use pea protein, for example, for chicken, pea fibers, rapeseed oil, and water. Use a short fermentation process in the end to kind of like give it a neutral taste profile, but no flavoring whatsoever. And then what a partner of us, Fleury Michon in France, does, for example, they add 3 very typical French marinades to that product and then sell it in all their retail distribution. So with that one industrial partner, our product co-branded got into, I think, over 5,000 point of sales in France overnight, with very local taste that we couldn't have done from Switzerland. We wouldn't know perfect French taste profile, yet them, with their experience, I think they have over 90% household penetration rate, so a very, very known brand in France, helping us to like reach more people and at the same time adapt a very local flavor profile. And these natural products that we're making here can be adapted very easily into more local cuisines, whether it's through chefs or industrial partnerships like that. And I think it's part of a winning recipe for us. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, for us, it's interesting because our customers are not our consumers, and the other way around, because in most cases, mom is the gatekeeper, at least from what we see. 95% of our customers are moms, and Pascal. And the kids, they don't decide when they're so small what they will eat. So taste is not really important for us, because kids, they have the same taste everywhere. We are not born with a certain taste. It is more like afterwards we are trained to a certain taste, not even sugar or salt or all of that. But what we can see is that parents decide differently in different markets. So, for example, we're active in Switzerland, Germany, and Austria, and even in Switzerland, in the French-speaking part, the midwives would say that the first puree that you give to a baby is a pear puree, and in the German-speaking part of Switzerland is a carrot puree. So, and that is more what determines for us whether a taste works or does not work. It's more cultural than actual taste.
Okay. Yeah, from my past experience, it was also always the mom who tasted a little bit and before giving it even to the child, because you'd never give your child something you never tasted.
Absolutely, and that is indeed true, and that's why we say, please try our products, because you will see that it's a lot better than what you are used to from this segment.
Great, thank you. I wanted to come to a comment that Pascal, you had actually made, where I think this may have been from your website or otherwise, where you had said that meat is mainly consumed outside of the home. So if we're going to change how we I guess change our way of living, and again, in terms of sustainability, change the way we think about food, that we actually have to think about that area as well. Can you speak to that comment a little bit, or what you were thinking?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I do have to correct either myself or our quote, or you,
or in the translation.
It is, yes. In most countries, it's super difficult to find out where protein or animal protein or meat, whatever you want to call that, where that is consumed. In Switzerland, a very shut off market, thanks or not thanks to us not being in the European Union and having very high tariffs on meat imports, have a very strong meat lobby who then reports super detailed on where what kind of meat is consumed. And that's actually like a positive thing for us, because go for pre-COVID, because COVID changed the whole restoration scene quite a bit. But when you look at, for example, 2019 numbers, you can see that about half the animal protein is consumed out of home. So not bought through a retailer or D2C, which is a very, very small part, but still. And so we always wanted to be where people eat protein. And to us, it was super clear from the beginning that, well, first of all, you can build a brand story, a trade story, a scaling story through food service or on-trade pretty nicely. Like we can scale our new technologies through on-trade a lot better, as it's easier to kind of like know how many restaurants a week can you onboard with new capacities that we're building on new technologies, for example, until like you have that step to go to a retailer. Plus, you can build a story already and have retailers come to you, learning that you're a successful brand that works on the on-trade. So I think whether it's from a partnership perspective, from an impact perspective, from a branding perspective, or just think about, like, I think we got pretty nicely inspired by newer beer brands, that challenger beer brands that went to cool pubs where you as a consumer have a great experience drinking that special beer, then you find in retail and drink it at home also. So we did it out of a necessity, but also then, hey, it's a good reality out there. And so we built our production and supply chain to take that into account. Our margins in food service are super healthy thanks to that.
Got it. Thank you. On the side of Yamo, obviously a very different type of question. I know that sometimes you have to balance, we heard in the first half of our conversation, packaging sustainability with what's right for the product. And I'm thinking specifically about something that was mentioned, I think was on your site or otherwise, about cold pressed and how you were, and I'll let you tell the story maybe better than I can.
Yeah, so traditional baby food is in glass jars. So that's what most people would expect how baby food would come across. However, this is not possible. We can't use glass jars for our products because we use high pressure pasteurization, where there is physical pressure of 6,000 bars applied to the finished packaged product. So glass would, of course, shatter, which means that we need a packaging that is somewhat flexible. And there's no other packaging currently, at least, that serves this than plastics. Now, what for us was important, that we always push in terms of we get the best thing that is currently on the market, which I think we heard it before from, I think it was Gavin, monomaterial. So not multi-layer plastics packaging that is non-recyclable, but the monomaterial packaging where you can actually recycle it in all of European Union. Funnily enough, not in Switzerland. We always think that we are recycling world champion, but I think we're just for aluminum, but not really for plastics. And that's something I think also Pascal touched upon before. I think it's something where you get easily challenged by customers through social media. Yeah, but why do you use plastic packaging? It's just still currently the safest, best option. And also in our case, it is also more sustainable than glass. There's so many studies on that. Glass jars, for example, for baby food has a higher CO2 footprint than the same thing that we do, because our product weighs 70% less, is easier to transport, and therefore in the end uses a lot less energy input in production and in transportation. But it's a challenge because many people would today, particularly in Germany, see something that is made from plastic and are, I would say, very critical about it.
Interesting. So I know that I only have you for a couple more minutes because I want to make sure that I allow for enough time for the folks also at GZA, but I wanted to give you both the opportunity to, you've taken Europe by storm. What are your plans for the next, say, 5 years? And I'm thinking obviously specifically in terms of sustainability, and Pascal, I can lower that down to 2 or 3 years if you'd like. So with that, I just want to allow you guys to close out. Remember, we have folks from 14 different countries all around the world, so this is your opportunity. I'll leave it to either one of you.
Yeah, I'll jump right in. Hey, I think we're only 4.5 years old, and yes, there is a 5-year plan, but I think the last few years have shown us pretty clearly that you got to be able to, in Germany, we'd say flight on sight. Is that even an English expression too? Like, yes, you can have a 4 or 5 year plan, have a yearly budget, but you got to be ready to take action month over month and be able to steer rather quickly through and navigate through these uncertain times, maybe, especially when we're in 7 markets, we're growing pretty substantially year over year, almost 3 digits, and it's obviously then you go into questions of cash flow and where do you still make that impact, and do you understanding your customers well enough. All these questions come up, and the space itself. So the 4 or 5 year plan, I think, where we can have the biggest impact on sustainability is if we can get more and more flexitarians over to a more plant-based diet, and I think we want to keep doing that by bringing them the best potential products. We've seen the plant-based category stagnating in the last 2 years, depending on the market. Some markets were still growing last year, some markets were rather stagnating. I think it's what we see is always pretty similar, that products with not sufficient repeat rate, who don't find consumers that buy and buy again, flexitarians typically, who go back to either traditional protein or eat more like legumes or vegetables, are not satisfied with the offering, which in our case helps us because we can take these spots and keep growing. However, it makes the category a bit stagnating in general. So we're going to win that by bringing in these whole cuts, fully fermented products that are juicier, that are easier digestible, and use our current distribution network to scale these products in trade quicker than, let's say, a cell-based company with no regulatory approval would do. And realize that we can only win if we have a solution for taste, sustainability, nutrition, and digestion, and also price. Well, we've learned pretty early on, thanks to the market of Germany, that price is one of the key drivers in that protein transition. So we focused on technology that can help us drive costs down, driving obviously still a profitability, but making impact by reaching people, also through price.
Great, thank you, Pascal. Tobias?
Yes, so Yamo's purpose is to make good nutrition healthy and easy. And what we are in for is just a revolution, basically, of an entire category, because when you think back, what is it that I myself, and also probably still kids today, are growing up on, is loads of sugar, loads of rather unnatural ingredient lists where you almost need a PhD in chemistry to understand what's inside. And we believe that these times are kind of over, and it's also the feedback that we receive from parents. So we want to continue to be pioneers in terms of technology, but also in terms of how we approach markets, a very different kind of communication, a more fresher approach to the interaction between us as a company and parents, because in the past they have always been told what to do. We are more here as a brand, like a friend, where we want to accompany you and your kids throughout the upbringing, and are just there for you when you need us. And I think that is exactly what parents from today are looking for.
Great. Well, thank you. And I look forward to seeing both of your products in the United States as well, specifically in the Boston area, if I could put my 2 cents in there. And with that, if you could please stay on. Again, we'll try to do a Q&A at the very end. I want to make sure we have enough time for the folks from the Greater Zurich Area Trade Organization as well. I think we have Stefanie and Milo. If you could pop on your photos, that would be great. So we've had a really in-depth conversation, both with on the packaging side, as well as really on the product side. And everybody's given us a little bit an idea of kind of what their role is and obviously what the entity is. For those obviously who are not aware of the Greater Zurich Area and all the good that you guys do, could you speak a little bit to that, Stefanie?
Sure, yeah. First of all, hi everyone. My name is Stefanie. I work for the Greater Zurich Area, exactly for the marketing team based in Zurich in Switzerland. And yeah, so Lauren, I think at the beginning already nicely summarized what GCA does, the Greater Zurich Area. So we are the official investment promotion agency for the Greater Zurich region in Switzerland. And in general, we help companies expand into our region who are interested in joining our ecosystem. So for my role, I help spreading the word about GCA, about Greater Zurich Area internationally, like what is happening in our region, why or how can companies benefit from joining our ecosystem, especially in tech. And viewing that we have so many different nationalities on this call today, it maybe makes sense emphasizing that Switzerland, in the sense of the food tech ecosystem, is not only about chocolate and cheese, but also has many other different things to offer that we already heard from the other speakers before. So our organization's mission is to actually strengthen the different tech ecosystems here in Switzerland and in the Greater Zurich region. And this is also aligned with combating different challenges that are currently going on also in our tech ecosystem, one of them being actually being more sustainable for the long term, because this is also a goal that Switzerland is trying to achieve, of course, as many other countries as well worldwide. And we try to do this not only by sharing what is going on in our region, spreading the word, but also to try to reach companies who are interested in joining our ecosystem. And then hopefully we can together also through a collaborative approach, reach new innovations and tackle the challenges together. So also sustainability, as we heard, being one of them. So that's what we do actually.
Great. Well, thank you so much for that kind of introduction. I'd be curious, for since we do also, as you mentioned, have so many different nationalities, so many different countries being represented here on this call. Can you give me a little bit of better idea of, if somebody is coming to you about first, getting a presence in Switzerland, specifically Greater Zurich Area, what are the steps that people take? How do they reach out to you? And then also, once they're grounded, how do you help them?
So it's either one way or another. Either we approach companies that we think would be a great fit for our ecosystem, or companies approach us for being informed about our ecosystem. Maybe they heard from another company who already set up office here in Switzerland or in the Greater Zurich Area. So what we try to do is we consult them about, getting to know the first important information about the region. What makes sense to build up? Is there a market available for them here in our region? Are there possible collaboration partners that we can help them connect with? So we have a great network of companies and research institutes and collaboration partners here in Greater Zurich and in Switzerland as a whole. We can connect the companies with them, and they can kind of establish bilaterally if there are some collaboration opportunities that they can benefit from both sides, because it makes more sense when you come to a new place that you already know that you have won the market, and second of all, maybe some collaboration partners you can benefit both sides from. So we help them with the network, we help them with the steps of setting up a business, and also evaluating if there is a market for their product. And then we also connect them with partners in legal or in consultancy, so they can really get ahead and form their new entity here in Switzerland and in the Greater Zurich area.
Great, thank you. Are there certain areas that surprise some of the folks who come in and speak to you about, you know, starting out in Switzerland, where they're not quite aware, and you have to inform them a little bit about, yes, Switzerland's a little unique, but these are therefore the benefits?
Well, I can highlight that it is not too difficult to set up a company here. So it's possible to set up a company actually in 4 weeks, if it's all nicely done. So it's not as, it's not as difficult as it might seem. I'm not sure about the US perspective, for example, but yeah, that's something I was surprised as too when I first learned this actually. And maybe also, just regarding the food ecosystem, how many international players are actually already here. So I can highlight that maybe Coca-Cola is one that is here, Mars is here, Burger King is here, Unilever is here, and many different others that are actually already doing great business here in Greater Zurich area. And so it's like a representation of the global food ecosystem that many people don't know about. That it's not only the research that we are strong in here, but also HQ functions for headquarters and also production actually, because Switzerland usually is not seen as a big production country. It's more in the research and innovation field, but it's still many companies producing here, and also because of costs. Switzerland is an expensive country in many aspects, but it's also worth mentioning that many companies are also producing here. So there is a way that it's being done in a cost-effective way.
Great, thank you. I think if I wanted to add to that, of course, there's also the wonderful central location and the multitude of languages that you speak, which one cannot necessarily always get in any other country in terms of when hiring also workforce in general. Yeah. So as you look forward also, and, you know, with this whole last, you know, not almost 90 minutes that we've been speaking, we've been focused obviously on sustainability when it comes to food. What are some of your goals, and specifically also GZA goals, when it comes to that topic and working with different types of food companies and bringing them into your region?
Mm-hmm. So as we have the official mandate for the canton of Zurich, for the Greater Zurich area to attract companies or to make them aware of the possibilities here in GZA, in Greater Zurich area, we of course also our goals are aligned with the ones from the region and the, Switzerland as a whole. So Switzerland actually voted for being carbon neutral up to the year 2050. So that's the goal we're trying to follow up also by pushing our goals in that direction. So for us, it's crucial to work with companies who have also sustainability in their in their manifesto, in their what their goals that they're trying to reach. So this is, of course, a criteria we look for when looking for companies who would be a great match here for the Greater Zurich area to join the ecosystem. And also we think that we have also quite a strong ecosystem in robotics and blockchain and artificial intelligence. And we see more and more that these kinds of technology ecosystems, they merge together with different kind of ecosystems, also food tech and agri-tech and the food industry in general being one of them. So what we see actually is that if those technology companies, they collaborate, this is actually boosting innovation in a big way. So the products or the work that gets out of those collaborations between merging different technologies actually gives a great impact into leveraging different sustainability initiatives or giving new solutions. For example, just one startup I remember now is they're trying to reduce food waste by using artificial intelligence, because they set up cameras that analyzes food waste, and so they can try to reduce the food waste level of restaurants, for example, by monitoring their garbage. So, I mean, this is a great example for combining AI with food tech or food waste technology. So this is one example that we see where it really the Greater Zurich area brings together different actors, different players from different fields to go together into a more sustainable future for the Greater Zurich area, and hopefully also to be able to adapt this technology or this innovation for other countries internationally.
Great. And I think that's the perfect message in which to kind of transition to our larger audience. I had promised everybody that I would leave a couple of minutes at the end so that we could ask some of the questions that might be in the chat area. So I will turn it over to Lauren, Sophie, either one of you, if you'd like to add a couple of questions or topics that I might have missed, or also read off some of the questions that may have arisen as we are going through this. I thank everybody for staying on and giving us so much insight into this topic. I will now put myself on mute so that you can ask the questions from our larger audience. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Annette. And thank you to all of our panelists for your really interesting and insightful comments around what you're doing and how you see the future of food and innovation being incorporated based on your respective industries, or sectors, I should say, within food. So one of the questions that came through is for Gavin and Stephan on the packaging front. So is the packaging industry testing whether or not new materials are leaching into products? And if so, what is that impact on human health? Can you comment a little bit on how you think about novel packaging and its impact in that way?
So I can kick off. So the question is, well, the answer is absolutely. Packaging material development goes through some rigorous checks and controls, because remember, you need to have, especially in the food industry, predominantly it is virgin materials. So those are materials that are for the first time converted and then in contact with food. And those materials have gone through a lot of proprietary tests to check and to make sure that they are safe for use and that they ensure the protection of the product, because that's what they're there for. The analysis on migration, and there's a lot of science out there about migration of different minerals and oils and things like that come not only from the product itself, but also from the environment that it could be stored in. So you come back to this principle of protection to guarantee safety. And that is a fundamental role of the packaging development, whether it is a customer or a manufacturer of the materials themselves. It's absolutely a priority for everyone.
Thank you, Gavin. Stephan, anything to add? Oh, you're on mute, Stephan.
Thanks for the hint. Sorry. No, as I mentioned before, we're providing machines to food manufacturers, and as Gavin mentioned, there are rules and regulations what kind of materials can be used, but it's their obligation to do all the testing. So, Tobias, I guess you're also involved in these kind of questions, yeah.
Regularly, yes.
Well, and Tobias, anything to add in terms of, you know, how you think about the impact of packaging on the product and, you know, subsequent human health, knowing that health is one of the main drivers of purchase for your products?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, luckily there is something that is called the law, and it says what we can do and what we cannot do, and that's what we adhere to and try to go beyond that even. And you know, I think probably in 10 years we will think different about certain things that we have done today, but that's just how life is. We try to do the best, and I think all industry parties be it manufacturers or be it packaging providers or whatever, they all are smart people and try to do whatever is best for people and planet. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Another question, and please, would welcome folks to submit questions through the Q&A or message us directly in the chat. But another question that came through was, it sounds like the paper is on the rise with packaging in terms of that being a material that more and more people are requesting or manufacturers are using to produce packaging. We also know that there's a well-developed recycling process in place for paper specifically. And so the question is, do you envision paper packaging in the future being made from recycled paper or paper produced from virgin trees? And are there new natural materials that are on the rise being used in packaging as well? So two-part question, but maybe we'll start with the first part around, do you envision paper packaging in the future being made from recycled or virgin tree paper?
There's a lot in an answer that I think we could take a whole nother webcast to express. The paper packaging, where relevant, definitely should be leveraged. There's no question. It is a natural resource. It is renewable. You have FSC certification, which for us in a group is 100% of all our paper materials that we use are FSC certified, and that is a renewable resource, and it's probably one of the best ones that you can do. The idea that everything goes into paper, as I said earlier, it's not feasible, it's not possible. I think Tobias was explaining how he has certain pressure points that are required for his manufacturing process, therefore you exclude certain materials. So paper has a relevance in a lot of fields, but not everywhere. That's one key comment from my side.
Yeah, to support that, I agree. In our business, in the food flow wrapping business, we see paper as a viable solution for chocolate and bars because they have a certain tolerances because they're molded. But that's the disadvantage of the paper. If you have products which vary in size, with paper you have to optimize for the biggest tolerance. Yeah, and cookies and crackers, they have a higher tolerance, and that's also not sustainable. Yeah, if you do 3-5% more volume just in order to cover all the variances, it's bigger in transport. It needs more space and all that. So for cookies and crackers, we see monomaterials as currently the best solutions, also from their properties. Yeah, if you have something with edges, as sharp edges, you need to wrap. There is no way you can use paper because it will easily destroy the package in the first couple of hours it exists. So yeah, and I'm sure there will be new stuff coming out. What will it be? Don't know yet.
Well, lastly, in terms of the questions that have, I think, relevance to the audience, would each of you like to comment on the opportunity of being in Switzerland, based in the Zurich area particularly, and the benefits that's afforded you and your companies as you've continued to grow and scale each of your businesses?
We always say that Switzerland is in the center of a packaging cluster, which reaches from northern Italy up to Germany. If you take the average appearance of a packaging company as one globally, we have here a factor of 100. And I think it has to do with farming being present hundreds of years ago, combined with the early engineering capabilities in the region. And that's why we also, as Stefanie has mentioned, have a lot of universities in electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, food science in different universities in Switzerland, but also in southern Germany. And so it's a really good area in terms of the network, in terms of the companies who are already here. In addition to what you mentioned, Stefanie, Mondelez is here, Nestle is here with headquarters and also with production sites. And last but not least, it's a great area to live.
Wonderful. Anything to add, Tobias or Gavin?
Yeah, I mean, we are a relatively small team compared to SIG and Syntegon, but still we are at the moment, I think 15 or 16 different nationalities, and most people actually came to Switzerland either for the role at Yamo or for one prior before that. And none of them has ever left Switzerland. And I think that's exactly what Stefan just mentioned. It's a great country to live in. For a startup, I have to say it's relatively difficult more and more because salary levels are just getting out of whack. But that's a different topic. And so, yeah, it's really great for people to live here, especially families.
Wonderful. Well, I know, oh, Gavin, unless you have anything else.
No, I would just build on the same comments. The efficiency and the performance of the country in general really facilitates things. I think it was Stefanie was saying how quick it is to set up a business. It's because it probably is as quick everywhere else in the world, but the systems here are efficient. They work. And if you're told it's 4 weeks, it's 4 weeks. It's not 7 weeks. And that's also brings a lot of positivity that things are efficient and they are well organized, and therefore living here is also a pleasure. So that's my 5 cents more.
Yeah, I would also like to add a sentence. I think one of the key elements also is innovation. Yeah, and for that reason, we have one of our biggest food site here in near Schaffhausen, north of Zurich, because here we have the people, here we have the mindset to create new things, to create great engineering, and I think that's also a very important point for this area.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all. Again, I know we're at our time, but very much appreciate your participation in this panel. Thank you as well to our moderator, Annette, and Stefanie, Milo, and Lucas for your collaboration around this fantastic webinar. Hopefully all of our attendees have had a chance to take away valuable insights into the current state of the global food industry, shifting consumer trends and values, emerging packaging trends, and innovative approaches to overcoming some of your industry challenges. So again, if you would like to connect with Branchfood or the Greater Zurich area, we would welcome your outreach. You can email me, Lauren at Branchfood, or Milo at milobaker@greaterzuricharea.com to learn more about how we can support your respective efforts. And thank you all again for attending. We wish you a great day or night, depending on where you are in the world, and look forward to seeing you on a future Branchfood webinar. Take care, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.